Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews. I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and I'm really excited today because we are here to talk about the year of 2019 for Walt Disney Company, their various brands, and we're going to be ranking all of the movies that they released this year. And I am joined by my very good friend Stanford.
Hi.
Yes. So, it's interesting as I was putting together this list. I I don't know how you feel, but I kind of feel like, yes, of course, it's been an incredible year at the box office for the Disney Corporation. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
But I think it's been not that great a year as far as quality.
Yes. I agree. I just think as far as creativity and quality, it's been spotty, but holy smokes! I mean, so much money.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I only had 4 of these that I went rotten on
Okay.
out of 14.
Yeah.
But I would say 7 that I was very marginal. I mean, I had 7 that were okay to right on the border.
Uh-huh.
But I on. And then 3 really that I loved. So it's going to be interesting doing this ranking. But yeah, I mean, they had a lot of remakes, a lot of sequels.
So many remakes. That's what you're gonna talk about.
Yeah, and we are not including the Disney Channel movies. There were 2 this year, and the Kim Possible movie I enjoyed. And a lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was cute. I guess I'm pretty easy on these Disney Channel movies. And then Descendants 3, I thought it had some good parts about it. If you're a fan of the series, it was perfectly fine. But I didn't feel like it was fair to make Stanford watch all 3 Descendants movies.
You were so nice. What a good friend.
I still want him to be my friend. And so we didn't have to make a part of this. But I think the series is perfectly harmless and perfectly fun for its target demographic. I did think that the choreography was a step down from the second one. And usually Kenny Ortega, really nails that, gets fun choreography in his movies. And I don't know, this one just felt like nothing special. None of the music or the choreography was as fun as in the second one. There's a whole really fun dance sequence that uses water. And that was really neat. I mean, it is kind of copied off of Step Up 3D.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, which the Step Up movies, if you just want to watch some really cool choreography, they're actually fun movies. They're not great plots, but
right.
they have some really good dancing.
Now,
anyway,
did Kenny Ortega direct? Has he directed all 3 of these Descendants films?
I think so.
Okay, interesting.
Pretty sure, yeah. So yeah, he knows how to make an entertaining movie for that demographic.
He does, yeah.
And so
because I've seen High School Musical. I've seen those films.
Yeah, I like those films.
Yeah,
I do. And I haven't gotten to see the High School Musical, the series.
Yes,
musical,
I haven't either.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, that meta name that they're using.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I've heard it's actually quite good. I've heard good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That it's really entertaining.
Yeah. So so we have 14 movies that are on this list, and 3 of the movies are Disney Plus originals. And I mean, I kind of wonder if it won't be that long before they don't even have the Disney Channel at all. Because I'm thinking, what is the purpose of the Disney Channel at this point?
Yeah,
I mean,
I've wondered about that too. If they're going to keep it on just to have a presence, on basic cable, or everything's just going to move to Disney Plus. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Because they announced the new Zombies movie is going to be on Disney Channel, but I just can't see that happening much in the future, because why would you do that if you're trying to build up your Disney Plus content? And that's a pretty important demographic for them, that age group. And so I don't understand why you would put it on Disney Channel when you could put it on Disney Plus. So I don't know. I feel like is Disney Channel going to kind of become like more for toddlers? You know what I mean? Like more for Disney Junior, that kind of a thing. I wouldn't surprise me at all.
Me neither. I think it's going to be fascinating to see how these various things get programmed, and what they choose to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we did include Spider-Man: Far From Home in this ranking. We are well aware that is a Sony film.
Yes.
I'm not stupid. But I feel like because it is
kind of a 50-50,
Yeah. Because Kevin Feige is the executive producer.
Yes.
All of that, I just feel like it belongs in this discussion. So
yeah, I think it was a good call.
Yeah. So plus it's a way to ensure people will be really mad at me. The ranking, which is always good. All right. So it's going to be good. I'm very curious because I think that our answers will be quite different. But I know
I'm really excited to see where our answers are on this.
Now I'll start. My number 14 is the Lion King remake. It was just so empty. It was so bland. It was the visuals looked nice, but they also looked weird because you have animals singing and dancing, real life, photorealistic, and the whole concept was just broken from the very start. I do not know what Jon Favreau was thinking. I think maybe they just got a little caught up in the technology of what they could do, that they, in the words of Ian Malcolm, you didn't think that they should do.
Yes,
they should.
Yes.
So that's my lowest. It was just, it was really just kind of boring. There was nothing.
Yeah, so my number 14, Rachel, is also the Lion King remake. I hated this movie so much. Well, and I love the Lion King. I think that the 1994 original is such a fantastic film, and this, I'm with you. I mean, the technology is impressive, no question about that.
Yeah.
But by making it photorealistic, it like just pulls the soul out of it. There's the artistry and the whimsy and the emotion all get stripped because sure, we know that animals emote. I mean, there's no question about that, but they can't emote as much as as one that gets that's drawn. Or that's animated like that, rather than just making it just look so realistic. And I also, just scenes like I just can't wait to be king and be prepared that really go to kind of a neat place in the 1994 film.
Yeah.
With just kind of the colorful and more kind of fantasy type elements that all gets stripped.
Yeah, and it was so bland. Like they were just so you have all this incredible voice talent.
Oh, seriously.
And like Beautiful Ejiofor as Scar was just wasted. He didn't.
Yeah, it was a waste because he's such a good actor, and this was such a bad role. Yeah,
and it was just the most bland performance of Lion King. I don't know how you can make this concept work as a movie, and I don't know. I just think it's broken. It's like a fundamentally flawed idea.
Yeah,
but I mean.
And $1 billion fundamentally flawed idea.
Yeah, so what do we know? What do we know?
Well, then it did so well. It did so well. It's so frustrating to me because it's like great. Now, I mean, the remake gravy train is never going to end.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at least we're going to talk about some of the other ones. At least those had I felt like a little bit more energy, a little more creativity,
and with a little bit of modification or some additions. Where this is almost truly a shot for shot.
Yeah, like seeing Simba's fur fly through the air does not add anything to me. That's not a significant plot choice. I mean, it was bizarre. I mean, I would frankly rather watch any of these sequel movies of Lion King than watch this live action one again.
Yeah, it was so miserable.
So I mean, I don't know. I guess the only way that you could almost make it work is if you didn't have dialogue. if you wanted to do that would have been at least like kind of
Something
interesting.
different. Yeah.
You know, like if you had the same story of the Lion King with photorealistic animals but without dialogue,
Yeah.
then it would be it would be more like sort of a fresh kind of take on it. It would feel more like a nature documentary. It would, I don't know, that would at least have been interesting, I feel like.
Interesting. Yeah. And
But
something
I don't know.
different rather than really just the exact same script and really every shot just almost identical. You know, I mean, I know they made a few some minor additions to the script, and they added that one Beyonce song.
They were just like walking. There was no addition to anybody's character or plot or anything. No. It was bizarre. So yeah, we agree on that. I know. So this one, nobody will agree on me, but hear me out.
Okay.
So my number 13 is Spider-Man: Far From Home. And I know it's extremely controversial, but
hey, you're good.
There's a couple things why. First of all, I don't think that the whole idea of the illusions works very well. I think it's kind of stupid because you can break up like so many things would have to go together and work perfectly in order for this plan to succeed. I mean, if a plane flew through, then they would, then it would be ruined. If there was any kind of defense aside from just Spider-Man, they wouldn't work, and it required a big suspension of disbelief, especially the fact that this Mysterio guy would be able to coordinate all of this from a remote setting. Like, it was a lot, but that's not even why. What really annoyed me is I feel like it doesn't make sense from Tony's character, because he was actively pursuing nonviolence. He was actively trying to get the Sokovia Accord signed. He going all the way back to Iron Man 3, that he was not somebody who's going to be building this giant satellite space thing out of droids, and then he's going to give the glasses to Peter, basically a child, a teenager. He's going to give that to him. That makes no sense to me at all, given his character, given who he is. And I just felt kind of annoyed by that. That was frustrating to me. And I liked all of the stuff with the teenagers. I thought that was all good, but pretty much all the villain stuff I didn't like, especially the fact that they have to bring back all of these people from Tony Stark's life that he supposedly, screwed over, that are mad at him. And I was like, ugh. That was annoying to me, and I don't know. I just didn't like it. I didn't think it was a good movie, and everybody else loved it, and that's fine. But I didn't like it. I didn't think it was good.
Yeah. Hey,
so, there you go.
I appreciate we have your viewpoint on it, and I'll be. Mine's a little higher up on the list, but I can understand your criticism for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you have at 13?
For 13, it's another one of the remakes. It's the Disney Plus original Lady and the Tramp.
Mm-hmm.
Was my 13. I love the original, the 1955 animated film so much. Mm-hmm. This just was, honestly, it was almost like I had to chain myself to the chair just to watch it, Rachel, because I was just rolling my eyes, and just if I had things that wouldn't hurt the TV to throw at it, I probably would have.
Yeah.
I hated this film so much. I guess in its defense, it unlike the Lion King, at least it tried to be its own thing. It had a few little variations to the plot, and I mean, the dogs are cute, and they did I thought I thought some of the cinematography was nice. Uh-huh. and again, particularly Lady, I thought that was such a beautiful Cocker Spaniel, so that part is kind of fun. I loved how, spoiler alert, that horrible Aunt Sally, gets her comeuppance, which she doesn't in the animated film. So that made me happy. But otherwise, it's just horrible. For the Bella Notte sequence, they pick F. Murray Abraham. to sing, Bella Notte.
Uh-huh.
Like, why not? How come they can pick some great Italian dude, to do
Yeah.
this rather than
Yeah.
like him? I mean, it just to me is just why I hate these remakes so much.
Yeah.
Just pure unadulterated torture for me to watch.
I get it. I do. But I actually kind of liked this movie. I here's the thing, that a couple reasons why I give it more of a pass than these other remakes is that I feel like Lady and the Tramp is kind of underrated. And so I feel like this will maybe help some people to watch the original.
Yeah, good point.
Because I feel like it's underseen. People don't give it the credit that it's due. And I mean, we'll talk about when I have it later, but I mean, maybe I just love those doggies and they're so cute.
They are cute. Yeah.
But I felt like, yeah, it did make some changes. Like the, Siamese cat sequence is different. They had some weird choices, like when Jim Deere and Darling, who weren't nearly as sweet as in the original, but they like trick Aunt Sarah to watching Lady, which was so weird because
that was weird.
Like, they thought that she thought that she was watching the baby, and they're like, "Oh, surprise! You're watching our dog." And why on earth would you want to leave your dog with somebody who doesn't like dogs? Like, that would be a very bad thing. And
yeah.
So yeah, I higher, but I have at 12. I have Aladdin. I do think that there's something to like in Aladdin. I appreciate all the scenes where I say that Will Smith was in sort of Hitch mode. When he wasn't trying to be Blue Genie, I think it worked way better.
Yeah.
And there were some funny parts. I thought the casting pretty much overall, I think, except for Jafar, I think the casting was pretty good.
Yes, like I agree. Yeah.
And so I like Jasmine's new song. I think that it's a good song, but I think its placement is very weird. And I think that they didn't do a very good job of matching it with the other songs. With the original songs, it feels so out of place.
Yeah.
As far as style and singing style and all that, but she does nail it, and she sings it really good. Which, as Beauty and the Beast fans, we all know we can't take that for granted.
Exactly.
A good singer.
Yeah.
So, and overall, it was harmless. I was like right on the edge with Aladdin, but I hated Jafar. I thought it was terrible. Like, why are we doing this with, all this warmongering and stuff? I'm like, what? That's not interesting to me. And he was just such a whiny character. It was such a weird take on the character. And I just thought the non-Hitch scenes, they just sort of sapped any of the humor. Like Prince Ali and then Friend Like Me. Yeah. But I did like the choreography, and some of the things in those sequences were pretty fun. Overall, I wouldn't be miserable watching it again. I think it's perfectly fine, but it's not like pretty much this next batch. A whole bunch of them are movies that I'm just kind of like meh on.
Yes.
But like, it's like, so I have to be like, am I slightly meh to the positive or slightly meh to the negative? And this is meh to the negative.
Yes.
Because I just would way rather watch the original any day. It's way better. So.
Yeah, I've got Aladdin just a touch higher, but I agree with you on every point. I thought its casting was over, other than Jafar, was its strong point. And even though I didn't love Blue Genie, when Will Smith was in Blue Genie mode, I appreciated that at least he was trying to be himself. I mean, it was his interpretation of it rather than him trying to copy Robin Williams. And I like that. But again, this was photorealism goes bad. I mean, it doesn't work with it as they were, transforming, Blue Genie into all the different stuff that happens, in the 1992 animated version. And I just thought that was a big fail.
And I hated Iago as that giant bird. That was
that didn't work at all.
That was the worst.
That didn't work at all. There was some part of it. I just couldn't believe it was a Guy Ritchie movie. It was like, what?
Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird movie.
It was so weird.
So, what do you have at 12?
My number 12 was Dumbo, the Dumbo remake.
Yeah.
I Tim Burton is, of course, is kind of hit and miss.
Yeah.
I was intrigued by the prospects. I thought, Tim Burton actually could make this kind of interesting, and I actually really liked the production design. I thought that's probably what I liked the most about the film. I also thought that the CGI Dumbo they created was pretty adorable.
Yeah.
But what a weird movie. And even though, here I am just totally criticizing The Lion King for being a shot-for-shot remake, this went off in such left field for me as far as just what they did with the plot that that was something I really disliked. I mean, I appreciate that they're trying to make. I know that, just our current sensibilities are so different than when this film was made in the 40s,
Yeah.
That they turned it into this big environmental thing. Animal cruelty thing. I don't know. That didn't really work for me. I thought that. I just kept thinking throughout. I was reminded of that film Free Willy, when with that killer whale. And I just think of the poster, where the whale is finally able to jump out of its container, or his tank or whatever he's stuck in. I just would call this one Free Dumbo. It's just like let's free Dumbo from and Mrs. Jumbo from the horrible humans. And I don't know, it didn't work for me at all.
So I have it number 11. This was a tough one for me because I gave Maleficent Mistress of Evil, I gave it a rotten, but there was a lot actually that I kind of admired about it.
Yeah,
I was right on the edge, and I technically gave Dumbo a fresh, because we'll talk about that in a second. But I was debating between, as far as this ranking, between the two of them.
Yeah.
But I think
I've got Maleficent at 11. So it's just these two are really close.
Yeah. And I think that it had some of the most striking cinematography of the year. It had some of the best costumes of the year. Production design, all that was really strong, and it was really weird. And the first 45 minutes or so, I was really enjoying it. I thought that this is such a weird guess who's coming to dinner kind of thing.
I'm with you.
I really liked that whole part
here, but it was fascinating. It was fun.
I like sometimes kind of strange, weird movies, and it really felt to me like, I would say the movie as a whole, I really felt like they were trying really hard to make something good, and I did appreciate that. Whereas the first one, I hated that one,
I hated it so much.
And this, I don't know, just felt like they were trying to build some lore and trying to kind of expand on the characters, and so all of that I liked. The problem is just that last half of the movie was so strange in a not as good way. Like all of these battle sequences and this bizarre sequence in a church where they're like basically creating a gas chamber for all these woodland creatures, and
so messed up.
And it was long, it was kind of boring, and it just lost me all that kind of goodwill the first part had. But I don't know. So it was a very strange film from Disney. One of the weirdest I think they've released in the last 10 years, to be honest.
Yeah, it was the weirdest movie. As I mentioned, I've got Maleficent Mistress of Evil at number 11.
Like, who was this made for?
Yeah, it was just really weird. I agree with you. I was so happy that they were. I at least felt that this one was a really solid try, even though the second half, and particularly that third act, it just really, tanked.
And it all kind of just gets brushed away at the end to this wedding, which was like, hey, you were just
kidding.
Just kidding. Bizarre. Very strange. But so it's going 11. So I have Dumbo at 10. I did go fresh on it, but I haven't had a chance to see it again since that day.
Yeah, I only saw it one time too.
And it it really just hit me that day. It was right the weekend that I was going through where I got the, the death threat, and I had to call the FBI, and it was just, I was really stressed out, and I just needed to see that movie on that day. It's as simple as
Yeah.
that. And just the simple message about, about the way that Dumbo was being treated, and it really connected with me on that day at that time. And even then, even under those circumstances, I could look at it and be like, ooh, there's a lot of problems here. But I really liked Dumbo as a character. He was so cute. And obviously I connected with the story. And I thought the first 30 minutes were pretty much the original.
It's the original film, all kind of capsulized in 30 minutes with a few extra characters.
Yeah, and Baby Mine was so cute, and I loved that. And it is sort of bizarre that you have Disney making a film about a giant conglomerate that purchases a smaller studio, smaller circus. That was weird. And, I felt like it wasn't almost intentional. I feel like that was a little bit Tim Burton trolling Disney, just like
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, the movie just had a sweetness to me that I connected with on that day. So, I did go fresh on it, but I can't really defend it that much. But it was probably just a weird project to begin with, a mistake to green light. I mean, Tim Burton hasn't made a movie that I've liked. I mean, most of his movies have been downright unwatchable for me in the last decade.
I haven't really liked a film since Big Fish.
Yeah. And his movies, I just feel like, I mean, aside from I do love Frankenweenie, but as far as his live action films, he hasn't made a good one since Sweeney Todd is the last one I can think of that Sweeney Todd or Big Fish.
Yeah, I did like Sweeney Todd too.
Yeah, and he's just, I feel like in the in the 90s when he had to sort of try harder to get his aesthetic, I think that he was better. I think his stories were better.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just remember going to the Miss Peregrines, which is like a solid book. Like, it's a decent book. And I thought, oh, this will be so good. And I was so bored in that movie. It was so bland.
Yeah.
And I really disliked it. So my expectations were also exceedingly low for this movie. And so I think that definitely helped as well. I was in a state of trauma combined with exceedingly low expectations. So anyway, what do you have at 10?
I have Togo at 10, the Disney Plus original. It kind of feels rude to put it at 10 because I mean it's not a bad film. I didn't think. I thought it was a pretty solid film, and one of the things I'm so happy about with Disney Plus, and I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. I know we're talking a little bit about what the Disney Channel stuff, but one of the things I really miss about the current Walt Disney Studios setup is that they're unwilling to put out in theaters just kind of like a mid-budget family comedy or adventure, that was the classic Disney's of of my childhood, and that's just, I mean, the things change, and that's just not what they're willing to do anymore. I mean, and they've put out a few things. I know you and I talked about Alexander and the No Good Very Bad.
Yeah.
I'm messing up on the title.
Yeah.
That I thought was just a classic Disney family comedy that was so fun to see in the theater.
Agreed.
But I don't think it made enough money for them, and this is just not what they're going to do. So I'm hoping that they're going to put a lot of that content on Disney Plus, and I'm all for it. I love it. I do think it's great. I thought this was a really good example of that. Just kind of this classic adventure movie with this beloved animal and all of a sudden, then it's kind of got the whole man versus nature theme going on with it. There was some stuff I just didn't love about it. I thought it had some really beautiful cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of, I think sure a lot of it was CGI too, but I think part of it is I don't just love man versus nature films a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, that's just what it was.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but so I don't mean to discredit this film at all. It's just like my enjoyment level, it was a little lower just in comparison with the rest of the list.
That's fair. Yeah, so I have that further up. So my next one for my number 9 is also Disney Plus. It's Noelle.
Yeah, I had that at 9 too.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
So Noelle, I probably had unrealistic expectations because I love Christmas movies, and actually in Hallmark they've moved away from any kind of whimsy. Like, it's been a long time since they made a movie with Santa, like, or set in the North Pole, or that. A lot of people are like, oh, this is just like a Hallmark movie, and I'm like, maybe in 2015, not now.
Not the Hallmark of today.
No. And I mean, it's really been since 2015 that they've done anything in the North Pole or anything. So I was very excited about it and hoping it would be really good. And it was a little disappointing. I didn't hate it. I did go fresh on it. I think Anna Kendrick is cute. The cast is really stacked and really fun. And overall, it has a cute message, and girls can be Santa. Like, that's fun. So overall, it's harmless. But I just feel like it could have been a lot funnier.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that it had been funnier. I wish that it had been, I don't know. Just, I wish that had been more of a romance. It was kind of because I felt like they were building
It was set up for it. I kept waiting for that too.
And for it to not have that payoff was disappointing.
Uh-huh.
But I did really love the whole the text that Billy Eichner's character sends all the naughty kids, and there's only like 2,700 good kids, and he's like, sorry, if you make your bed more this year, then you'll get on the nice list, or things like that. Was really funny to me. That made me laugh. And Anna Kendrick was just so darn cute in it that it's worth watching, I think.
Same thing. I thought it was really quite cute. A bit of a miss on some of the stuff with the script. I mean, with Anna Kendrick, Bill Hader, I mean, there were laughs, but I just thought this film could have been so funny, and it just I thought that was a they just didn't quite get that across the finish line, and I was hoping that romance that they seemed to be setting up, all of a sudden she's like, no, I'm Santa, I can't do it. Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was lame because I don't have any problem with a character ending up single. Obviously, I love Frozen, so I don't have a problem with that. But I have a problem with it when I feel like there's sort of the implication that you're building up a romantic comedy, and if she were to end up with a partner, that somehow is less feminist and less empowering, which is ridiculous. Tons of feminists fall in love and have partners, and that's ridiculous. And so I would have preferred that there was a little bit of more romance in the end. So yeah, I think we're on the same page with Noelle, but it was cute enough.
It was so cute, and again, so happy. This just seems like this is the perfect type of film to put on Disney Plus, and I'm just applaud Disney for putting some original content out there, and I hope that they'll keep it up.
Yeah. So number 8 for me is where I actually have Lady and the Tramp, just because I did appreciate that they used actual dogs for a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
And they were really cute. And most of the changes I didn't mind. I like making Jocks a girl. That was fine. I don't care.
Yeah, it was fine.
That. And I just thought it was pretty cute. I liked the costumes. Colleen Atwood did a great job. And I liked the production design. Like I said, I felt like I gave it a little more of a pass because I feel like it will introduce people to Lady and the Tramp that maybe forgot about it or haven't seen it. And hopefully then now they'll watch the original. I was kind of glad, I guess, for a change in the Siamese Cats because it's not like it's the best song. It's a little, so that was fine for me. And Yeah, I mean, Aunt Sarah, it was just kind of a weird portrayal because why are they letting this woman watch their dog? That was strange. And, the muzzle scene is always very disturbing.
Yeah, it's so
And
traumatic.
that was pretty traumatic here as well. And I don't know. I just thought it was cute. I liked the dogs. What can I say?
Yeah. No, and I don't. I'm so overcritical about these things, which I will own. But I agree with you on so many of those points because it could have been so much worse too.
Yeah, but, that's the scale. But also I did think that it was very weird that they added like to their scene where they hook up after the Velanode, whatever, they add all this dialogue and I'm like, I don't really need that. Like, I don't need like a montage is fine. We don't need to have
well, and again, the animated version, it just handles that in such an expert way, you know?
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
Yeah.
So, what do you have at 8?
So at 8, actually, I have Aladdin. Now, I have to explain because I frankly can't believe I placed it so high. But I put it at 8 because, I mean, I was actually having trouble with 8 Aladdin, 9 Noelle, and 10 Togo for me.
Uh-huh.
How to place these three. It actually just came out which one did I enjoy the most, and Aladdin had some big problems. I still had a lot of fun. I think partly because I'm so fond of course the original, but this one just it was really entertaining, and I thought Aladdin and Jasmine had some really nice on-screen chemistry, and I like Jasmine's new song. And I liked it when Will Smith was in Hitch mode. I mean, all those things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
I just put Aladdin a little higher just because I just enjoyed watching it more than I did. Noelle and Togo.
Yeah, that's the same as me kind of with Lady and the Tramp, I think.
Yeah.
So number 7, I have The Rise of Skywalker. I know this may be shockingly low. I think it was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really corny. It's silly. And I think it gets back to sort of the heart of Star Wars and what Star Wars is.
Yeah.
I was not a big fan of The Last Jedi, so I was personally glad to see a lot of that get retconned. Like, I mean, honestly, you probably you could easily just watch Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker and you would not miss anything. Like, all you would need to know is that Snoke died, and that's it.
Yeah.
As far as plot, you wouldn't need to know anything else. And there are a lot of problems with this movie. It is pretty messy. But I think you could kind of say same thing about the original Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But they capture that spirit of adventure, and that's what I like about the series, and I like the characters.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed it. I had a fun time watching it, but I guess I just think the rest on this list are a little bit better made, and less messy than this movie. So
I have it a little higher, but I agree with you. I mean, it's this one's got some issues. So I have issues with it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that the trilogy is kind of weak.
I think this trilogy is really, frankly, a mess, and it's probably more than I'm giving it credit for. But I really am not convinced that Lucasfilm had a really coherent vision about what they wanted these 3 films to be. They were giving a lot of leeway to these different directors and letting them come up with the story. But I think we all suffered because of it.
Yeah.
The film sufferred because there was just not a real, at least I didn't feel like there was a really good 3-point, and I didn't feel like they had any kind of, I just didn't feel like they really had a plan in place.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. I mean, I don't care what JJ says. I don't believe it. There's literally a line in the movie that's trolling Rian Johnson and trolling The Last Jedi.
Oh, absolutely.
So nobody will ever convince me that this was like, oh, he did exactly what I wanted him to do. Like, we were totally in agreement. Sure. Yeah. Right. And
not.
And the whole thing with Palpatine, it was ridiculous, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
I mean, yeah, likewise. I mean, it's a fun ride. I think, it's a crowd pleaser. I think people are just are having fun at the movies, which is great. But for those of us who are like myself included, who have loved Star Wars their whole lives, I just don't feel like this was a really satisfactory conclusion. And they had an impossible task. I think. I mean, it could have been better, but impossible. How do you please all these people?
Yeah.
How do you bring all these storylines together? It's tough.
Agree.
But still, that Rey was a Palpatine and all this stuff is like, what?
Yeah.
That was my reaction. But anyway,
it was a movie, that's for sure. What do you have at 7?
So at 7, I have got. Sorry, I'm having issues. It's Penguins.
Yeah,
the Disney nature film, which was adorable. I thought
so cute,
so well done. I saw it in IMAX, which I loved. It was just kind of like the perfect. I thought perfect film for that format. Just great editing, great storytelling, great length, pacing, everything you'd want in a family friendly nature documentary. I thought they nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, I frankly feel ashamed of myself that I have Penguins at 6. How do I have Penguins ahead of Star Wars?
I know.
But it's true. Yeah. I mean, it's a better movie. If you want to watch, here's the things that it had to accomplish, and it did successfully.
Yeah.
And, it is like it's apples and oranges, obviously. But if you're looking at what is a movie trying to accomplish and does it succeed, there's no question that Penguins is the more successful film.
Yeah.
And I mean, the only thing I didn't really like about Penguins is, I mean, I liked it, but it was a lot. Was the music choices were so over the top.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun. It was sort of, I kept laughing. We got like Ario Speedwagon and stuff like that. It was like,
yeah, I hear you.
It was a lot. And they practically anthropomorphize these animals in these Disney nature documentaries, and that can be, it's a lot.
Sometimes it's a little much.
Yeah, but I mean, I would put this pretty high up in my Disney nature ranking.
Yeah, I thought for Disney nature film. I mean, and they're typically, I think, very good.
Yeah,
and this was just no exception. And I agree with you. I thought it was really one of the better ones.
And there's a scene where there's I think it was a leopard seal or something like that is going to eat one of the penguins, and it plays dead, the penguin, and I was like, no way, that's not going to work. No way. And it totally worked. And I was like, wow, this is a genius penguin. This is the smartest penguin ever.
I know.
I mean, the best Disney nature documentary, in my opinion, was Chimpanzee, because that's the only one where the actual filmmakers were like, what? We can't believe this happened. They actually had Jane Goodall come on and be like, what is going on? Because the female that they've been following ends up dying for whatever, I can't remember why.
Yeah, whatever.
Then this male ends up basically like adopting the baby chimpanzee, and like Jane Goodall and all the people were like, this never happens, this is not a thing, like this is shocking. And so that one is probably my favorite, although I do love the flamingo one, because it's set up like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And it's like this there's like this narration that I love, and then the little birds with their salt shackles.
Oh yeah.
They're like got those like ankles full of salt. You're like, go little bird, go. And they're running with all the salt on their feet, and and they're all setting it up like there's these like these villains that are eating the little birds, and you're like, no.
I know. It's like you get so emotionally invested.
But I would say
kind of a trademark, right, of their filmmaking, of their storytelling. Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like if anybody at Lucasfilm is listening to this podcast, you should be ashamed of yourself that I have
That
penguins.
penguins
Higher.
is higher.
But that's the reality of the situation.
Yep.
So what do you have at 6?
At 6, I have Captain Marvel. I just thought Captain Marvel was a blast.
Yeah.
Just a classic MCU film. I enjoyed the origin story. I just liked everything about it. I just thought this is really a good film. I mean, it didn't change my life, but I just thought it was terrific. I just thought it was just terrific, and clearly Captain Marvel's an important character. Really helps with the Avenger Endgame film, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's what's so great. I think so great about these MCU films up to this point is that they play well together and they have a plan. They had a plan.
Yeah. I have Captain Marvel at 5. Can you believe this came out this year?
I know. In fact, I almost had to second guess myself. I was like, did that really come out?
It feels like so long ago.
Crazy. Oh, no. Wow.
But yeah, it's not a movie that has stayed with me.
Right.
That I've thought about a lot. But I think that it has enough fun between her and Nick Fury.
Yeah.
I thought that the Nick Fury de-aging was really well done, and to see Agent Coulson again is always
I know. I love seeing
really
Agent Coulson again. I love that it was set in the 90s.
Yeah, that was fun.
Fun.
I thought there were. I mean, it was a little over the top to use "I'm Just a Girl," but I still thought those action scenes were fun to watch. And
yeah.
I think that it has a similar problem to Age of Ultron in the sense that I think both movies kind of stall when they get to the respective houses and they're just kind of sitting around waiting.
Yeah.
Then it gets a little dull for me, a little boring. And I do think that Brie Larson was a little disappointing not to the extent that the psycho people think, but I do think that I kind of wish she had a little more charisma.
Yeah, because that's I'm with you that I was so excited that they cast Brie Larson, but I just kind of felt in a way she kind of phoned it in, Yeah,
it just felt a little flat.
Yeah,
like a little more personality from her, and maybe she'll grow into the role.
Yeah,
a little bit more, but compared to most of their because Marvel has just been incredible with casting.
Oh, their casting has just been
yeah. I mean, compared to obviously your Captain America and your Tony Stark were just so great, the casting, but even Chris Hemsworth, so charismatic.
Everybody,
all the Guardians, so charismatic.
Yeah.
In Captain Marvel 2, I'm sure that she will have kind of grown into the role a little bit more, just be a little, I don't know, just a little more cheeky, a little bit more kind of fun. So I don't know, but I still enjoyed it. It's not Wonder Woman to me, which is a film I adore, but I think it's perfectly serviceable superhero movie.
Yeah.
And so what do you have at 5?
Okay, at 5 is where I put Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Okay.
I just enjoyed it a little bit more than Captain Marvel as far as just entertainment. I just love Spider-Man and Peter Parker in high school. That's just made me so happy. And I hear you on your review of it because I thought that this Mysterio stuff was fraught with problems and. Of course, to me, it's like, of course this is unrealistic because it's, it's a superhero movie. But that was really like, oh, wow, like they can do that. I mean, so I totally hear you. But still, the pros outweigh the cons for me, and I really enjoyed it. And I liked it more than Captain Marvel just because Tom Holland is so good in that role, and just that high school stuff.
Yeah,
it's so fun. I think that stuff with Zendaya is MJ is positive, and Ned is such a fun sidekick. It's just and really entertaining. It was just pure entertainment for me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were mad that he told Zendaya, but he told MJ, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad about that at all. I feel like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not a secret superhero universe. That's
Mhm.
not the reality of of
Yeah.
that world. Nobody has a secret identity in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It would be kind of weird if
Yeah.
Peter's the only one that's like this big secret. And I do think that the end credits were really fun for that movie. So that was
All those end credits are terrific. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm with you. I'm glad I'm glad that Peter told MJ,
Yeah.
about it, that she knows, and I love that Aunt May knows too. I mean, I love all that. I love that dynamic, and I think Marissa Tomei is so great to have her in that role
Yeah.
because it
She's
just kind of
fun.
goes like against type,
Yeah.
for
So it
that
was
role.
really more just the Tony stuff. That was my
Yeah,
more
no,
than anything
I
else.
hear you. I hear you. Yeah.
But okay, so my number 4 is actually Togo. So
Oh,
I
cool.
was so pleasantly surprised by this movie.
Yeah.
I thought that it felt like a movie from the 90s, like one of these
Yeah, it did.
just live action Disney films, like Iron Will. That's what it reminded me of the most.
Yes.
Iron Will. And I love stuff like that. I absolutely do. And so, yeah, they used to make movies like Air Bud and Iron Will and Snow Dogs,
Yeah.
stuff like that. I miss those kind of live action films from Disney.
Yes, I do
And
too.
I really liked just the whole relationship between Togo and William Dafoe's character. And I have to admit, there was a side of me that kept thinking about The Lighthouse and William Dafoe the whole time. I was like, he's gonna. um, but
Yeah,
where's
that thought crossed my mind too.
which is funny. And I mean, like the scene when he's crossing that lake, that was amazing.
That
Both of
was
them.
so wonderfully done. Oh, really stunning.
Yeah. And I loved his wife. She was great.
Yeah, what was your take on on the relationship between those two, Rachel? What did you think of that? Because I kind of got tired that there was so much kind of sadness and bickering, but I guess that was just part of the deal.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like she always knew what was right, and then he wouldn't listen to her. but the whole time she's just kind of sitting there like, eventually you'll learn.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute. I thought it was a fun dynamic for me. And and I'm a sucker, I guess, for, even though I don't own a dog myself, dogs and movies and dog movies are super cute. And I don't know, this was just such a pleasant surprise. I thought it was so well made, and now I will be forever mad at Balto for stealing Togo's legacy.
I know. Like, who knew that Balto was? Yeah, like everybody lauds Balto, but it's Togo.
And like, animated dog films lie. And there's like a statue of Balto.
That statue of Balto in New York City.
It's a lie. I don't know. Maybe it was just low expectations, but this was just so much better than I thought. I thought it was genuinely exciting. I was drawn into the story. I'm like, oh my gosh, is he gonna make it?
It did a nice job with it, and the cinematography, I just thought beautiful.
Like, especially crossing that lake both times. That was crazy. You just hear the ice crunching. And then finally he has to throw Togo. And Togo has to haul the whole ice with all the other dogs. Like, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. But what do you have at 4?
4, I have Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. You know how much I love my Star Wars, but this film was uneven and in many ways very unsatisfying. Still, though, it's really fun. For lack of a better word, it is a fun time in the movies, and I loved how it just felt kind of campy and old fashioned in a lot of ways. I was really unsatisfied with Rey's character arc. Really unsatisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough to be kind of like some kind of hater, but it didn't really work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Although I thought that what they did, I was very satisfied with what happened with Kylo Ren / Ben Solo.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part. I mean, there were a couple things that I think there was we had a lot of family discussion over the holiday about this. particularly about the kiss,
Yeah.
and all that. But still, though, ultimately Ben Solo, I thought, was the most interesting character of the whole of that whole
Yeah.
sequel
No
trilogy.
question.
Yeah,
There's no question in my mind.
and I really liked Rey, but what happened with her for me just was kind of me,
Yeah.
But still, though, I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, it's fun. It's like
Yeah.
Star Wars, and I had a good time.
Yeah. That's totally fair. All right, now we're getting into the three that I actually really like.
Me too. These, I think, it's interesting here because I think we've got the same three clearly, and it'll be fun to see what order we put them.
Right. So, I've gone back, especially the top two. I've gone back with over and over again.
Oh, I know. Me too. It was hard to choose, really.
Yeah. So my number 3 is Frozen 2. I've still only seen it once.
Yeah.
But I need to see it again. I really thought it was bold of them to make the conflict be with their family to be something kind of horrible.
Yeah.
their family had done. That was sort of surprising and interesting. And the music was just so great, so beautiful. The animation was so beautiful. I really like, their characters, their bond as sisters. I love the fact that Anna became a queen at the end. That was great. I loved Lost in the Woods. I thought that was the highlight of the movie for me. It was so hilarious. And I liked Olaf. I really enjoyed it. There are some problems, with the narrative and some, things. It's not perfect, but overall, I really enjoyed it. And so, yeah, I have it at 3.
I also have Frozen 2 at number 3. I love this film. I've never been a Frozen hater. I mean, I thought the original Frozen was great. I wasn't a big fan. You and I have talked about this too. I wasn't a big fan of the Frozen phenomenon, I call it. Right. Where so much merchandise and so much stuff is
Yeah.
But the original is great, and I think the sequel is really great. And I thought that they were brave with the sequel. I thought, even if it's imperfect. There's some stuff, and I've only seen it once too, so I really want to see it again. I'm not sure about a lot of the stuff with the whole North Ultra, and some of those specifics, but still, I thought the direction they went with both Anna and Elsa was really good, and I just love how that sister bond is the core, and the animation is just unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah.
And great music. Anyway, I could go on and on. I love that.
Yeah. I my main critique of the movie was that I felt like they underused all the new characters. I mean, especially I was expecting Honey Marin to have a much bigger part, and I kind of felt like they included her just to sell merchandise. She hardly has any lines.
Yeah, she's got
at all.
Just a handful of lines. Yeah,
but I still really, it was in my top 10 of the whole year. I loved it. So
for sure, it's terrific.
So my number 2 is Toy Story 4, and this is also in my top 4 of the whole year. And I loved this movie. I was sort of skeptical going into it, like most people were, because Toy Story 3 is so great. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that the Toy Story 3 is really the ending for Andy, and Toy Story 4 is our ending for Woody. And I really loved the ending that they gave for Woody, because in this world, if we imagine the rules of this world, there really isn't a way for the characters to die. So within the rules of this world, there has to be a sort of a soft space where Woody can land, where he's not going to be in this cycle of child's play. That's not a thing you can do for forever, for eternity. And so they had to kind of come up with this place where he could sort of live out the rest of his days, whatever that means in this world. And I really thought that it was a lovely ending for our character, and sort of his last deed to children is to take care of Forky, who was hilarious and funny and way better than I ever expected when I first saw Forky. I loved Forky, and I just felt like a sense of I've finished my course. I ran the race, kind of a feeling at the end. And that really moved me and I thought was beautiful. And the animation was so great and it was so funny. So I loved this movie. It was really good.
I also have Toy Story 4 at
Yeah.
number 2. I'm with you on every point.
Yeah.
It's such a good movie, and I remember talking to some friends about it. Like, oh, but it's so sad that Woody and Buzz aren't together. I'm like, well, you have a point, but think about Woody. I mean, his life has been so diminished. I mean, Bonnie's cute, is going to treat him well, but yeah, he's going to be in this horrible cycle. And as long as he's Bonnie's toy too, like he's not in charge of the room, I mean, any kind of role that he had, he's just in the closet, with all other kind of has-been toys.
And it was Buzz's decision in the end to allow Woody to go. He would not have gone if it wasn't for his friend saying it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just so
and I love the whole relationship with Woody and Bo Peep. I just think it's so cool that Bo Peep has figured out a way to be independent of a child and have a great life.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. So funny. Forky is so funny. I just thought, oh dear. And also, I was really worried about this film just because of the challenges that were going on at Pixar, with John Lasseter's departure and with, I mean, initially when I heard it, when I knew that Rashida Jones, was involved in the writing of it, I thought, and her writing partner is Will. I'm trying to remember what his last name is anyway, but how, just that's how cool is that,
Yeah.
And then that falling out and all this stuff. I thought, oh dear, this does not bode well, but wow, they surprised me. In fact, they just wowed me. One of the best films of the year for sure.
Yeah, agreed. And I also thought that the whole Gabby storyline was very refreshing because I was expecting
it so good, so interesting.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be Lotso Part 2 kind of a thing.
Yes,
and it
exactly,
wasn't.
And it didn't.
No, and
go that way.
Woody gives her his voice box, which was kind of a touching moment, and then her getting rejected was so devastating. By that little girl, and so then when she finds the little girl in the music part, that was definitely the feels. I just thought it was great. And
that was so surprising because I agree with you. I thought that Gabby was going to be like a Lotso sort of deal, but instead, Woody sacrifices for her and gives her, some happiness.
Yeah. So we both have the same number 1.
Yeah.
Avengers Endgame is, I think, the only movie that I saw 3 times in the theaters in 2019. Even though it's so long, I just thought what they did was brilliant. I thought that
me too.
They were able to end Tony and Cap's characters in such a satisfying way. They were able to combine together 22 movies. We're able to go back into those movies. Never did I think Thor: The Dark World would be so important, but it was. And, and I got good sign-offs or good entries for all of our characters. I mean, the only one that really surprised me was I thought they would use Captain Marvel more, so that was a little surprising. But I don't know. Avengers Assemble. Can you get more epic than that moment? That was so satisfying.
That is one of the most amazing, phenomenal moments I think in the MCU, clearly, and then it's just so satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, and I came in not being the biggest fan of Infinity War. I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it. So the fact that they were kind of not only able to win me over on this film, but they kind of made me like Infinity War better because of the way that they handled everything, and almost everything worked for me. I thought that, there's some people didn't like the Black Widow arc. I totally thought it was great because I think it's cool that somebody without any powers saved everybody.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a really great ending for her. I liked Fat Thor. I thought it was funny. I thought it made sense for his character. That if you had allowed something, if you hadn't been able to stop something like that from happening, you would, some people would become an alcoholic. Some people would fall apart. So I thought that was, yes, it's done for some laughs, but I thought that worked with his personality because Thor has always been a character that kind of, ever since the first one, kind of hid behind jokes and laughter. And stuff like that. And as I thought I fit his character when he sees his mom, that whole scene is very emotional. It worked really well for me.
It works really well. I agree.
And I think when Tony saw his dad, that whole conversation, so good. And then when Cap is dancing with Peggy,
oh my stars.
It was so good. It was so good.
So good.
And I loved Ant-Man in it. I loved Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I
did too.
So
I loved every character in it. I loved every interaction, and it was such a payoff movie. I really liked Avengers Infinity War too, but knowing that this was, that it had this part two, was going to happen. So I didn't have any qualms with it, but I didn't think that the payoff was going to be as good as it was.
Yeah, same.
They really pulled it off, and again, no easy task.
No,
but they did it.
Mm-hmm.
They did it, and it's such a good film.
I think it flies by. I don't think that it feels slow to me. It really doesn't.
No, it didn't. I'm with you. I thought the pacing was perfect. I don't even think I looked at my watch once. I was so enthralled the whole time. Yeah.
And sure, you have to accept certain things with time travel. Time travel has plot holes. It just does. It's that's part of the. And is it kind of a MacGuffin to just cover up everything? Yes, but that was smart. That worked. And so I really don't have that many flaws with it. I thought it was very satisfying. I Love You 3000 was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just thought it was an incredible achievement. I walked out of it thinking they did it. They did it.
Me too. I just
so hard to
do with a big smile on my face and just so happy that they pulled it off in such a terrific way. I think we all knew that it was either going to be Cap or Iron Man, and when it's both of them, that basically are done or retired. It was sad, but still so satisfying. It was just done so well that you could just kind of for me, I could accept in this current iteration, this current form, they're not going to be in the movies anymore. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, and nobody ever really dies in Marvel.
Yeah,
but it was a really nice way to end this arc. I just thought it was one of the most effective spectacle entertainments I've seen in a long, long time.
Oh yeah.
So
agreed.
So there we go. We did it.
Yay.
We ranked the Disney movies. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. We have some more experimental films from Marvel coming out.
Really interesting films from Marvel. I'm really excited about them. I think the Black Widow looks really cool.
Yeah.
And I know nothing about the Eternals other than just, what they showed at D23 and then just, little bits and pieces here or there. Such an interesting cast, such a big cast.
Yeah.
And, I'm excited for what we have in store. One of my buddies and I, our motto is in Kevin Feige we trust, because I just think, even though you on the surface, you might like, what is happening? It's like, Marvel has got a pretty solid game plan, typically, Marvel Studios, and go with it. And typically you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And we have Raya and the Last Dragon, and we have...
Which looks beautiful. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I hope that's going to be good.
So good. And
what do you think about the Mulan remake?
So I think it looks pretty good, but I don't like how it looks like she just got a hair blow out of the salon in the middle of the battle. That annoys me.
I know, right?
But whatever.
In the wind.
Fine. I think it'll be one of the better of these remakes. I'm anticipating that.
Okay.
Do you think it looks terrible? Or
I don't know if it looks terrible, but I hate these remakes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I did too.
Much. But again, they're typically high quality, though. I mean, high production values, and they spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it'll be interesting, and of course I'll go. I'll see it, and I don't want to be like just the angry man about all this stuff. I'm so that's just because it's just not my style. It just makes me so sad. I just think, don't diminish this wonderful heritage you have just by these money grabs, But anyway, we'll see. For me.
It'll be Interesting to see what ends up happening. I am kind of excited because because my favorite recent Christmas movie called Christmas Perfection that I love and adore, the writers for that movie are writing Mulan.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that's a pretty big.
Well, that's a happy thing to know, then, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some potential.
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
was really funny and really well done, in my opinion. Anyway, so it's like a little Easter egg, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It looks fine for me. You've got two original Pixar.
The Pixar films look really interesting. I'm really excited
Sure.
about both Onward and Soul.
Me too. And we get a nice little break from Star Wars, which I think we all need.
You know,
We all
I
agree.
think that they were really smart with the Star Wars movies. Just they're just gonna hold off and we'll see what happens. You know, supposedly, I thought I read in an interview that Kathleen Kennedy said she's going to announce a little bit more about the next Star Wars film in January. You know, this January.
Yeah.
So I know it's on the calendar for December 2022, and we'll just see if that happens and what they choose to do. If I were a betting man, based on the success of The Mandalorian, I think that they're going to hire Jon Favreau to direct the next Star Wars film. But that's just me.
I mean, it would make sense on the basis of, like, we didn't like The Lion King, but it made a lot of money. So he's had all of these hits for Disney in a row, plus this Mandalorian. So from a business decision, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
I mean, he's made so many good stuff. I still trust him.
I do too. I just think he could do a good job. Clearly, with what he's done with The Mandalorian, you can see that he loves Star Wars. He knows Star Wars. Anyway, we'll see. Who knows? But I agree with you. I'm grateful for a break. As much as I love it, it's like, I don't know if I can handle anymore. Particularly if just how divisive the fan community is too. That's kind of hard. I mean, but it's understandable because just given the content that they're producing. But still.
Yeah. Okay. So we got some rankings on Twitter.
Yay.
So Christian Paystrip, he says his ranking is Rise of Skywalker at number 1, and then Toy Story, Endgame, Far From Home, Togo, Frozen 2, Captain Marvel, The Lion King, Noelle, Maleficent, Little Mermaid Live, he throws that one in, Aladdin, Lady and the Tramp, Kim Possible, and Dumbo.
Okay.
And then Danny Z says Endgame at number 1, Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, Far From Home, Captain Marvel, Togo, Aladdin, Noelle, Rise of Skywalker, Maleficent, The Lion King, Dumbo, and Lady and the Tramp in last place.
Last place.
Yeah. Greg Price says Endgame number 1, Rise of Skywalker, Frozen 2, Toy Story 4, Spider-Man Far From Home, Togo, Captain Marvel, Lady and the Tramp, Noelle, Penguins, Maleficent, Dumbo, Lion King, and then Aladdin at last place. One more I'll read. Michelle Benson, she has Endgame, Frozen 2, Captain Marvel, Toy Story 4, Maleficent 2, The Rise of Skywalker, Lady and the Tramp, Spider-Man, Dumbo, Noelle, Aladdin, and The Lion King. So there you go. You've got some variety.
Absolutely. When you've got such great listeners and followers, that's so fun to hear their viewpoints too.
Yeah. So let us know if you're listening. Let us know in the comments or on Twitter what your rankings are of these. And if you want to throw in the Disney Channel ones or whatever, feel free to do so. And this was really fun. I really enjoyed doing this. And
this is so much fun.
Let's hope for a better quality 2020 from Disney.
That's what I'm hoping for. Just more consistent quality. Just better films. Let's hope so.
Bob Iger, if you're listening, step it up a notch.
Yeah.
So anyway, very good. Well, where can people find you?
I am on Twitter at Stanford Clark, and I also have a movie blog and podcast at moviespastandpresent.com.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So make sure to check that out. If you're listening to the podcast on iTunes, if you could give us your ratings and reviews, we really appreciate that. And if you're listening on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. That helps us out so much. And consider becoming a patron of the channel. We have a lot of fun in our patron group. And we have giveaways and exclusives. We try to make it really fun for you, and so check that out. Also, we have our merch store, so it was a lot of fun stuff. You can get #animation junkie shirts, and so check that out. And thanks so much, Stanford. It's really fun. And
Thank you, Rachel.
We'll be talking a couple more times this month with talking about some fun animation and Snow White. So we'll look forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.